So I'll just tell you a little bit about sump filtration. So when you've got a large, beautiful aquarium, regardless of what sort of fish or corals you want to put in it, probably the best style of filtration is a sump. Now the idea with a sump is to put a large reservoir down the bottom in which you can do whatever you want. So therefore you're keeping the aquarium free of any other bits and pieces or equipment. So if you see this aquarium, it's totally free of any equipment. The only equipment is just contained to the very top, which is pretty much out of view, because when you're viewing this aquarium, the top back is the last place that you're going to look. It's pretty much out of the eye line. So what happens is the water goes through these bulkhead fittings, then they go down and into the sump. So that just gets in there. And then the first stage is what's called mechanical filtration. So down there we've got some polyfilter, and the polyfilter is going to polish the water. Then the water comes up through this area, and this acts as a settling chamber. So any heavy particles will fall out and land on the bottom there, where they can be netted out with a fine net or siphoned out. Then the water comes up over the main area to your biological media, and you want the biological media to be first, definitely before any sort of protein skimmer. So, and we're using this block here, which is called Marine Pure, and Marine Pure is a new age media which offers parallel denitrification. Now what you don't want to use is media such as bioballs, because bioballs break ammonia into nitrate, and the nitrate accumulates in the aquarium, therefore creating a direct relationship between your water quality and how often you do water changes. Whereas these medias here, which offer parallel denitrification, don't give you that nitrate, so therefore reduce your need for water changes somewhat. Then next we've got a heater. Then it goes over into the main return pumps. And we've also got a protein skimmer, which is hanging on the side on the far end. And we've got several return pumps, and then they basically return the water back into the top. So you can see this aquarium's got very good surface agitation, it's got very good water flow, and that's all achieved via the sump. And this sump, because there is so much water flow in this sump, we do have the water returning at both ends. So both this end and that end have got double returns, which allow the water to go down. And it's very important that you calculate that your holes are big enough to accept the amount of water back. And then we've got 3 outlets. So that one there, 1, 2 and 3, return the water back into the aquarium again to make sure we've got ample water flow. And when you're setting these systems up, you fill the tank up to the top, then you fill the sump up, then you turn on your pumps, and then your water level line will go down to a certain level, and you mark that with a texter, so then you know when the pumps are on, you only fill it up to that line which you mark on. Because what can happen is the water, while the pumps are on, mean that the sump is very low and the tank will be high. Then if you turn the pumps off, then, and you fill it up above the on level, that water can potentially come out. So you basically fill up the sump while the pumps are off, and you fill it up to near the top, then the pumps come on, and then you mark that level as an on level. Therefore, when you fill up your system while it's running, you only ever fill it up to the actual marked on level. Never fill it up above that, or you could end up with the water on the floor. But that's a very easy way of protecting it, just by only ever filling it up via the sump. And you either fill it up while the pumps are off to the top, or when the pumps are on, you just fill it up to the on mark. So once again, these sump filters are extremely convenient because they allow you to have a equipment-free aquarium. You don't need power heads, you don't need anything else in the aquarium. And the other advantage of these sump filters is that they do hold a lot of water volume. So there's a couple of 100 litres down there, which does increase the overall size of the system, therefore allowing you to have more fish and allowing the waste levels to be diffused better across a larger volume of water. And they're just really versatile, and once again very easy to clean. So to clean that pre-filter there, it's just a matter of reaching in, getting it out, and replacing it, as opposed to something like a canister filter that you have to turn off, take apart, which is obviously takes a lot more time than just simply reaching in. Also, running skimmers on these sorts of sumps are way more convenient, because if you run a skimmer on the aquarium itself, you often end up full of micro bubbles. So there are other ways of setting sumps up. So there's other refugium mediums you can use, such as sand. These ones have got sand in them. So sand works quite efficiently. The only thing about sand compared to marine pure is that the surface area to volume of any batch of sand is always going to be subject to an amount of fluctuation, whereas your marine pure is set. The surface area to volume ratio is always going to be exactly right, so therefore it's going to maximise your denitrification. Other people use live rock as their biological media. Same thing again with the live rock, is that one piece to another piece can be quite varied. So once again, with marine pure, that's the marine pure down there, it's exactly right every time. So it's scientifically formulated to have a set surface area to volume ratio. So if you're setting a new tank up from scratch, sumps are really the way to go. So you just need to consider the plumbing up and the plumbing down, and try and make your sump as large as physically possible. Because the worst thing you can do is go and install a sump and realise that for the amount of water flow the aquarium's going to have, you can't accommodate that amount of water down in your sump. So the larger the volume of the sump, the less often it needs to be topped up, and the better it will run.